Hello and welcome to another video from West Networks and Peplink University. Today we're going to talk about a very exciting router, the MBX Mini 5G. This is basically the merger of a Transit Duo and a MBX. So we're talking about a smaller profile MBX, dual cellular instead of quad cellular. And so I'm really excited to see this product today. I have not opened the box yet, so this will be the first time I've opened the box. And so I'm pretty excited about this. I do have a couple things with me. I have an AT&T and T-Mobile 5G cards. I have a max adapter in case I want to plug that in, and I've got some antennas that we're gonna need when we go to set it up. Let's take a look at what's inside. So open the box. I have a power cord. I have a Wi-Fi antenna, another Wi-Fi antenna, another Wi-Fi antenna, a GPS antenna, another Wi-Fi antenna, and a SMA to QMA adapter for the GPS, I'm assuming. And then I also have a power brick and the router. Let's take a look. Look at this. Holy cow. That is neat. It is super tiny in comparison to a MBX, but it has that same really cool new rugged look. The big heat sink on the top. It looks like we have a dual Wi-Fi, so we have Wi-Fi 1 and Wi-Fi 2, dual USB ports. I have my console port, my status lights, 4 802.AT PoE+ ports, 2 Ethernet WAN ports. On the back, I've got dual power supply capability, DC power supply capability, and GPIO or ignition sense capability. And then it looks like I have a GPS, and then I've got my 8 cellular connections. These are QMA. So the router comes with one QMA to SMA for the GPS that it comes with it. Or if you buy the Mobility 40G antennas to go with it, you can then have your 4 cellular and then the GPS. And so when we go to set it up, we're going to have to use those QMA connectors. I also noticed that the slots are smaller. So let's take a look at those cellular SIM card slots. The past couple routers Peplink's released, that we've actually noticed they've switched over to nano SIMs instead of the 2FF SIM. So the 4FF size instead of the 2FF size. And it looks like they've probably done this again. So I'm just going to pop this, pop that off. Now I don't know if you can see this or not, but there's our SIM slots. Those do look like, so here is 2FF, or the bigger size. Then if you pop that out, you'll have 3FF, and then you have 4FF, which is the smallest, or the nano. So you have standard, micro, and nano. And actually the standard is considered a mini. And then if I slide that in, yep, that fits. And you're going to hear it click. So I'm going to put my T-Mobile in cellular 1A, and I'm going to put my AT&T in cellular 2A. There we go. This is a 2.5 gigabit router, supports up to 500 users, supports 500 megabits of encrypted SpeedFusion VPN, and then it comes with 2 SpeedFusion licenses built in, and then can be upgraded to 20. So it starts with 2, then you go 5, 10, and then 20 would be the maximum number of SpeedFusion VPNs this device can have. The 5 gigahertz module is a 5G and then a Cat 20 LTE. The 5G module, if you're connecting at 5G, is 4 gigabits capable download and 700 megabits upload. The 4G Cat 20 is 2 gigabits download and 150 megabits of upload. That's the 2 modules that are in it. And then we're going to have our 9 QMA connectors and then our 4 SMA connectors, RPSMA for the Wi-Fi antenna. So let's go ahead and get this thing hooked up and get it online. So the first thing I'm going to do is unpack my Wi-Fi antennas, grab my power cable, grab my power brick, and I'm not going to worry about the GPS or this because I'm going to use the Mobility 40Gs to actually light this thing up. So we're going to hook up our Wi-Fi antennas. This device is expandable to 4 total 5G connections if you add, well, okay, so this device is in theory expandable to 6 total 5G connections. 2 built in. You can add 2 5G max adapters, and then you could also technically add 2 transit 5Gs or BR1 5Gs, giving you a total of 6 if you really wanted to. And the same thing with like the MBX, for example. I've done several projects with the MBX where it has 4 5G modems, and then I add 3 transit 5Gs to the device to actually give it 7 5G internet connections. Now, I always recommend plugging in the power to the DC power before plugging into the wall, because it kind of creates a little, if you don't do that. And this should click in, and it's kind of like a spring-loaded. When you pull this off, it kind of spring and then pulls out. And then when you click it in, it locks in. That keeps that locked in place during transit. This device is vibration certified as well as train certified. And so that's why also these QMA connectors are so nice, because they're a little bit more difficult to source the antennas. However, the Mobility 40Gs come with a QMA SKU, and they are vibration resistant. You don't have to worry about tightening the SMA connectors when you get those. So go ahead and plug that in, and then I'm going to go ahead and hook up my Mobility 40Gs here. So the blue one is my GPS, and then QMA. You see these just click in so nice. I mean, it's just click, click, click. And so it makes it really easy to service these guys as well, because when you have to unrack them or service them out in the field, you can just unclick the QMA connectors to service the router. So I'm just going to put my antennas right here. I apologize, it's going to get a little messy. These antennas are designed to go on a vehicle. And if you haven't seen these antennas, they come with a 3M tape as well as a nice little screw-on. So this makes it really easy to seal this down. And whenever I install these on a vehicle, what I do is I take the 3M tape, I drill the hole, put the 3M tape, and then I wipe down with isopropyl alcohol. It really sucks up all the water, and you can almost touch the metal surface or the surface of the vehicle and feel that it's kind of tacky when you wipe it down with the alcohol. Then put the 3M tape down, then stick this down. It truly creates an amazing installation process, saves a lot of time from like glue or something else having to dry. And then if you're really worried about any sort of leaking, just throw some silicone around bead around the edge of it. Okay, so the router is booted up, or hopefully booted up. Now I'm going to plug it in. So I'm just going to plug into the LAN port. And you should see that it's online because it has the status light. So I've got my cellular 1 and 2 flashing, my Wi-Fi, my power. So I see everything kind of lighting up there. So now the default IP address should be 192.168.50.1. And if you have any questions about it when you plug it in, if you just open up your command line, do an IP config, and you can see right there 192.168.50.1. My IP address is 192.168.50.10. So now all I have to do is open up my browser, go to 192.168.50.1, and it's going to bring up this your connection isn't private. And I'm going to click advanced, and I'm going to connect to the router, and now I'm at the router's login page. If you plug in activated SIM cards, you can skip this step and go straight to InControl. And the way you'll know if it's online is the cellular lights will turn solid. So my cellular 1 is solid, my cellular 2 is still flashing. And I'll show you how to fix that in the setup. And I've done this also in my previous video with the BR1 Pro 5G as well. So to log in, we go to admin, and then it's going to ask you to change the password. So I'm going to go admin and then a new password. Hit OK. And so once I log in, you'll see I'm running 8.1.3 with a special build, S056. Whenever you see that special build, do not upgrade your router to the next build without confirming that the special build features are implemented. So whenever you see that S056 right there, that S build, reach out to support. You can reach out to support.peplink.com. You can reach out to support@westnetworks.com and just ask us, hey, I've got this special build. Can I upgrade my firmware safely? And let us do the homework for you so you don't have to worry about any downtime of your router. So this, you can see right here, we got the Peplink Max MBX Mini running 8.13 firmware. You can see already I've got my SpeedFusion cloud capabilities, and you see my 2 SIM cards. Right now, and probably until 8.1.4, there is currently a bug in some of the new 5G AT&T SIM cards. And what it is AT&T bought a whole bunch of SIM cards that belong to another carrier, or at least the numbers were registered. So we need to reset the APN manually. So to set the APN manually on your SIM card, just go to Details, scroll down, go to Custom for the operator settings and APN, and just change it to Broadband. So if you install an AT&T SIM card, a new white and blue SIM card, you might have to set the APN manually until all the ICCIDs are registered properly with the database. And you just do that by going to Operator Settings, Custom, APN Broadband, hit Save and Apply, and you'll see this will connect right away in just a few seconds. You can see my T-Mobile's already connected to 5G. I've got my 40G antennas here connected. I'm super happy with that. And then you'll see my AT&T is going to connect. Now, we can program this natively inside the router, all the settings inside the router, or we can use InControl to program this router. So let's talk about the local connectivity, and then we can talk about InControl. So to locally connect to this router, we've already done it, right? We go to 192.168.50.1. We've already fixed AT&T, and you can see that it's checking connectivity, and it's connecting right now. And now you want to set your Wi-Fi settings. So we can go to our AP tab right here, and you can see PepWave, and it has a generic one. The default password for the Wi-Fi is the last 8 characters of the LAN MAC address. So all you do is look at the box or at the bottom of the router, you get the last 8 digits without any special characters. So like AA00, BB11, right? And that's gonna be the last 8 digits. All capital, no special characters. So that's gonna be the last 8 digits of your LAN MAC address. That's the default password. So if you don't have an Ethernet cable and wanna connect into your router, and you have that PepWave with the last 4 of the serial number, it's just the last 8 of the LAN MAC address. But once you're in here, now we can change it. So we can say max MBX Mini 5G, and then I can make the password, 5G rocks, exclamation mark. And if you want to see that password, just uncheck the hide password, and there it is, 5G rocks. And so now I've set up my Wi-Fi, and hit save. I can hit apply changes and go back to my dashboard, and you'll see my Wi-Fi says no Wi-Fi AP, and then in just a few seconds it's going to change. There it is, MBX Mini 5G. Now I can turn that Wi-Fi on and off by clicking this drop down next to the green status light, and I can actually turn off my Wi-Fi if I'd like to, or I can turn it on. We mentioned the connection options of the MBX 5G, having 2 Ethernet WAN, 2 Cellular WAN, 2 USB WAN. I actually forgot, it also has Wi-Fi WAN. So I have this Wi-Fi WAN that I can actually connect to wireless provided by like a venue or even my office. So if I drag the Wi-Fi WAN from disabled to priority 2, you'll see it's gonna turn on, and then I can actually just click details. I can come down here to the bottom. Once it enables, you'll see wireless networks show up. I can click wireless networks, and it's gonna scan my wireless networks. Then I can click connect for the wireless network that I wanna connect to and type in the password for that connection. Hit save and hit close, and as long as I type the password right, it should connect to that, and you'll actually see me connected to T-Mobile, AT&T, and WestNet Wi-Fi. Speaking of the dragging up to priority 2, the router supports 4 priority groups for prioritizing your different internet connections. So for example, say you have a really reliable Ethernet WAN, it's gigabit fiber or something like that, and you don't want the cellular to kick in unless the WAN fails. You can actually have WAN 1 as your Ethernet connection, primary connection, and then WAN 2, Cellular 1, Cellular 2, and Wi-Fi as a backup priority. That way, in the event that this WAN 1 fails, your WAN 2, Cellular 1, Cellular 2, and Wi-Fi WAN kick over. If you're taking advantage of SpeedFusion, there will be a delay between the detection of the failure of WAN 1 and the enablement of these WAN 2, Cellular, and the Wi-Fi WAN. So if you want to take advantage of those and you want seamless failover, you actually want them all in the highest priority, and then you configure the connection priorities in the SpeedFusion tunnel yourself. There's 2 different priority groups. One is the priority group on the dashboard. That's a failover detection only. WAN 1 has to fail before the other connections become active. In SpeedFusion, we can also configure priorities that's based on the availability of connectivity to the SpeedFusion cloud or SpeedFusion host. So in that case, you're going to have faster failover and discovery time because it's just a few packets that have to be failed before it automatically fails over, And because these cellular connections are on, you're not going to have to worry about the connection not working. I'm assuming I got my password wrong, so I'm just going to verify that. So to verify that password, I'm going to click Details. Scroll down the bottom, you can see my wireless name, SSID WestNet. I'm going to click on that, add, and see if it connects. Now, I've configured the router. I've added to the AP. The next thing you want to do is enable SpeedFusion Cloud and configure the options there. I've done a lot of videos on enabling SpeedFusion Cloud, so I'm actually not going to do that here. Now let's talk about InControl Management, because all of this can be done in InControl. So if we open up InControl, you want to create an account or have a Peplink ID. But if you do have a Peplink ID and an InControl, we can pull up our groups. So you're going to create a group. We're going to call this MBX Mini 5G. Click Create Group. We're going to put in the serial number of the device. We can get that from the status page or from underneath the router or from the box. We're going to add the device, give it a name, hit Confirm, and then go back to the dashboard, and we're going to see our MBX 5G right there. You can see it's already online and it's connected. Now, all of the settings that everything that we just did with Wi-Fi and management can all be done right here. So if you don't have an Ethernet connection, you don't have Wi-Fi, or say you're remote, you mail this device to somebody, all you need is one working internet connection, and the device will connect online automatically, and then you can configure these same settings. So to configure the Wi-Fi, you just go to Wi-Fi AP, group-wide Wi-Fi settings, and then I can enable Wi-Fi management. I'm going to check that box, hit Save Changes, and then I'm going to add an SSID. And I'm going to call this one MBX-5G. That way it's a different one, so you can see that I did something different. Then you can enable device selection. So you can tell it on all devices, on only some devices, or on all devices except. All devices will put that SSID to every device in the group. On all SSIDs enabled on some devices, will ask you to choose a tag. So you need to assign a tag. We do have a video on assigning tags. The link will be in the description below. And then you can do all devices except. This means that basically it'll do it on all devices unless there's a tag here that it won't push the SSID to. For the case of this, we only have one router. I'm going to say all devices in the group. So you can then choose your security policy. So WPA2, WPA3. We can give it a password. And then I can set my management frame protection. I can enable layer 2 isolation. I can enable fast transition. I can enable SID availability. I can also VLAN tag this SSID. I can set up a restricted mode to deny a certain MAC address or a MAC address control list from our security settings. We do have a security review video that talks about some of these options, so I would recommend looking at the security settings, but for the purpose of this video, we're just going to skim through the settings. We have multicast filtering. You can also tell it I only want 2.4 or 5 gigahertz. And then band steering to the 5 gigahertz band. And then you can actually apply a schedule to this via the settings schedule page and a captive portal, which once again will have advanced videos on those topics. Hit Save Changes, and now you can see my MBX 5G is set up right there. And then if I go back to the router, go back to the dashboard, the Wi-Fi is gone, and then you should see MBX 5G show up. So now my Wi-Fi settings are being managed from InControl. Now, you say, okay, great, I've set my Wi-Fi, I've got this router, I don't have local access, so let's close out those windows. How do I get into this router? If we click on the router, the MBX C4BB, I can now see a status page that gives me the GPS location of the router. It's getting that from my 40G GPS antenna that's connected. I can see a quick port connection. This is really good if you're an IT person and you're doing remote support, because a lot of times they'll say, hey, I'm plugged in. You'll see this WAN 1 is green and there's nothing plugged into the LAN ports. This is incredibly useful when working with people remotely, because a lot of times they'll accidentally plug into WAN 1 or WAN 2 and they actually need to be plugged into LAN 1 or LAN 2 or LAN 3 or LAN 4. So if you see something plugged in here, they probably plugged into the wrong port. And then you can see the status of your connections, what you're on, how much bandwidth is being used, how much clients are connected to it. Then you go to Settings, Remote Web Admin, and log into the device. And so that's how you get into the device. We do have videos on configuring SpeedFusion Cloud. We have that with our Transit Duo. I'll also ask my designer to maybe crop that out and put that into its own video. So we have configuring SpeedFusion Cloud with outbound policies to make sure it's working. We also have videos on adding and removing devices, adding and removing groups, and deep dive overviews. This video, I just wanted to show you how to get the router set up, get it online, and get into the router, and also talk about the router specifications and features. I'm super excited about the MBX Mini and bringing this to the Peplink line of products, and I think it's going to be really, really neat. And then in a couple days, you're going to see where we install this thing, and that's going to be even more fun. So stay tuned, subscribe, and get notified, and watch our 24 Hours of Lemon series, because you're going to see some really cool Peplink installations going on into these devices. So thank you very much, and have a great day.